Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Season Ticket Holders. I'm your host, Dane Lillingstone, and I have a very special edition, and along with it, a very special guest today. It is going to be the Ashes Gabba preview. Of course, we all know how it happened in Perth, an absolutely stunning test, 2 days, not what we expected, but awesome occasion. And now we head to the Gabba, my hometown in Brisbane. To wrap it all up, I couldn't think of a better person to preview it. He is a Channel 10 Brisbane sports reporter, cricket tragic, my former roommate, the ladies' MVP, the king of Cairns, James Ingram. Jimmy, welcome to the show, mate.
A pleasure. Thank you very much for that resume. That's in order of importance, I'm assuming. But yeah, full circle moment. Great to be in your hometown. Unfortunately, I can't be there in mine, as you can probably see from the shirt, repping the Redbacks kit. But yeah, we're keen as for the cricket this weekend.
Love it, mate. Love it. Now, before we get into it, and we'll break it all down, when I get guests on here for the first time, I just like you to tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you love the beautiful sport today, which is cricket.
Yeah, sure. I've been in journalism for about 5 years now. So we started up in Cairns together, up at Wynn, and then when you jumped over to Seven, I took over the sport there. So been up through a few different jobs in Cairns with the great people at AFL Cairns and Seven and Wynn, and yeah, been down here at 10 for a little while now, and yeah, getting used to it and loving it, and just cricket has always been the number one sport for me. You know, spending endless hours on the couch growing up, and just never wanted to leave. Wanted to take in every single ball, and then going to the backyard and knocking the ball around as well. It was my first kind of real obsession, and it's always stayed that way. I was lucky enough to be at the last Ashes in the UK, and yeah, to be here in Australia. It's a different vibe for this one, and yeah, it's been incredible to cover it, and came for this one.
Hey, just give us a little bit of an insight. Obviously, I mean, I've been to plenty of matches here in Australia at the Gabba, at the SCG. Going over to the England like that last series, what was that like to see the Barmy Army full flight over there in the heartland?
Yeah, it's very different. Obviously, their cricket grounds are that more village atmosphere. You don't have the giant stadia that you do in Australia. It creates a different environment and a different atmosphere. And just traveling around, I think, despite growing up in Australia, you go to your hometown test, you go to the Gabba test or the LA level test or whatever. So going around and going to, well, it was 5 tests in the space of a month that I went to. I went to the WTC final as well, and you just get a sense of all those different grounds and a rich history of all that storytelling that goes along with it. But you do get a sense it's a very different cricketing landscape, right? It's never their number one sport in the way that it is for us during the summer. But the people who do love it, have loved it for a very long time, and just get right up here. They'll call your names when they see you in an Aussie shirt, but then they'll be the first to buy you a beer when you get to the front of the line. So yeah, it was an incredible experience.
No, that's awesome to hear, mate. I have plenty of memories of you sitting on the couch during summer, just plonked in front of that TV. It's a beautiful time, mate. The sights and sounds and a few Coopers, I'm sure. Now, Jimmy, an incredible opening Ashes test at Optus Stadium in Perth, an extremely rare 2-dayer, mate. Now, that pitch was given the okay. It was rated very good by the International Cricket Council. We will get into individual performances, but firstly, just what were your initial reactions, mate, in a pretty stunning Ashes opener?
Well, it was incredible, and just the pace of the game. I kind of feel, and I was saying to a friend the day afterwards, that I don't really know what happened there. Like, it's, Australia won up in the series. What did we learn? It was just such a crazy test match that I almost feel bad about trying to take too many lessons from it about the way the teams play, because it just feels like the luck went Australia's way, that the right people turned up at the right time. It was a crazy test match. I was actually at a family member's wedding on the Saturday evening, and we went into that going, I think England were 3 down, and then an hour later after the ceremony, we'll check our phones, and suddenly we're batting. And then 2 hours later, a cousin ran up to me and just went, "James, we've missed the greatest test of all time." I got back home that night and stayed up and watched the whole replay about 4 times over the next few days. Incredible test match. But yeah, I think it's one where I think taking too many lessons too quickly might throw you off, because sometimes you just got to take a mulligan on that one and say that was just a crazy test, and reset.
Yeah, man, it was insane. I mean, I was pretty busy the weekend, so every time I checked an update on the score, it was just like, what the fuck is happening? Like, it was just absolutely insane. But awesome, awesome test match, mate. To start it off all like that. And obviously, we went into that with no Pat Cummins, no Josh Hazlewood, and of course, Mitchell Starc, the third of that classic fast bowling trio, stands up, career best figures 758 in the first innings, ends up with 10 for the match. Mate takes a wicket in the first over. I remember being in the Seven Cairns office, what was it, 4 years ago, when he took the very first wicket on the first ball of the series. I remember just sitting with the camos and going absolutely nuts, and he bloody does it again, mate. He gets one in the first over.
I
His performance
remember
just
I was at AFL Cairns at that time, the first Ashes test a few years ago, and we were all had it on in our offices, and we were just all at. It was like a wave going across the office because everyone's KO was slightly different degrees of lagging, and people would go, "Oh, oh, oh, oh," and then we all poked our head in the corridor. We're all watching the cricket, right? This is what's happening right now, and yeah, it was next level. And he just does it all the time. He's never been more consistent than what he is right now. He just, despite the age, keeps getting better. There was that stage as a younger bowler where he would give up runs and he'd be hard to control, but he's never been more controlled than he is right now, and they needed it.
Man, amazing to see, man. The fact that he could just stand up, like, right, without the captain, without Hazlewood, your man, the way he just did it, mate, it was just awesome. Awesome to see. And even, especially like Scotty Boland had a pretty quiet first innings by his standards. Doggett obviously chipped in his debut, it looked pretty good. But man, he just spearheaded that. Then on the flip side, mate, we're obviously in big trouble. Travis Head, your boy as well, the Adelaide man. I know you're going to be frothing this one, brother. But he comes with the third fastest century by an Australian in Test cricket, his 10th off 69 balls, the second fastest in Ashes history, the quickest in a fourth innings. Whenever Australia is down and out, he seems to be a guy that stands up. When his back's against the wall, that's just the type of thing we expect from Travis Head now, right, mate? What was it like when you found out, and then you're a nufty, mate, you went back and watched the replays? Travis Head, mate. Is it good to get a statue? What's going on?
Yeah, well, it's just a matter of if you consider the 100 greatest knocks in Test cricket history. Trav Head probably has three or four of them. There's guys who've scored more centuries and more consistent runs, but there's very few who have a better highlight reel of standing up in great moments, and that was just something that he was able to do. And the opening question becomes an interesting one, and it was interesting to see whether that will be a one-off or how it goes, which we'll get into. But I think when people look back at those big games, that's what you remember. Yeah, he didn't cash in on slow decks and boost his average to 55 or whatever, but when Australia needs it, it's just how it goes. And the smoothness of it, Dane, must have been so good.
Mate, what did I see the quotes when he smacked Jofra Archer back over his head? And I think Marner said, like, what the hell are you doing? Or Travis Head said, like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I'm just going to piss off all the English bowlers. Like, the way he just went about it. Do we just build a statue now at Adelaide Oval, mate? Or what's going on?
Well, there's a nice collection around there of footy and cricket statues. If you go back to the members area, there's a great Jason Gillespie statue bowling and Darren Lehman 22 yards away facing. I think there's definitely room there for a Travis Head statue. We've just got to work out how big the moustache is, what kind of look we want for it. But yeah, as part of that, the more statues, the better. I think there's going to be quite a few there as it all goes on, but there's very few who've done it more than Trav Head. He'd be top of my list for some inclusions. Maybe add some Will Day once he's done, legend of South Australia.
Mate, he's a bloody X factor. Like the way he just goes about it, I love watching it. And you just touched on a little bit there, mate. But the openers, the biggest talking point all summer, probably was who opens for Australia. And after this first test, we're probably no real clearer to know exactly who that should be. Jake Weatherald, obviously he isn't going anywhere on debut. Got a duck, and then he made 23 when he's partnering with Head in that knock. Usman Khawaja, mate, he's the big talking point, and that's what I want to ask you now. That back issue troubled him all test. The technicality meant that he couldn't actually start in that first test. He had to get pushed down to 4. Only he went out for 2. Back spasms in the second meant he didn't open. Of course, Travis Head, the man, steps up and does what he did. Plenty of commentary out there right now. He's still battling this back injury. Obviously, he has been named for this Gabba test. Should he be dropped?
It's fascinating, and I think the interesting part for me was always going to be fitness. I think this team, what they have shown is that the guys are the guys and they like the guys. If you're in the team, it's hard to come out of it. If Usman Khawaja's in the squad and he's fit, he plays. Goody is another question entirely. That option of Head at the top looks so good now, but it looks so good because he's just scored one of the greatest hundreds of all time. If you hadn't done that, we'd be having a different question. We still haven't seen Jake Weatherald and Usman Khawaja bat together.
Yeah, exactly. That was
They've
that was my
still
point too, right? Like they were named, that was supposed to be the whole thing, and then how do you
mm.
drop him when he didn't actually even open it over that test?
Basically, Steve Smith and Marnus were opening in the first innings because they were out there from the third ball. Yeah, I think provided he's fit and he trained, not sure when this is releasing, but this afternoon as we were recording, and looked the goods according to everyone there, facing balls in the net, did a lot of run throughs, was giving a lot of thumbs up, whether that's actually communicating or whether that's just what he wants the people in the press gallery to see. But yeah, I think they'll pick him if he's fit. And maybe it's the sentimentality in me, but I see the value in giving him another go. I think if you're playing fantasy cricket and you're naming what is the ultimate 11 that is most likely to win this test, I'm not sure he's in it, but I think the value of continuity in this team is something that, and calm is something that they've really valued. I think, a lot of people are picking 11s with, Bo Webster batting 8 and Nathan Lyon coming out and all these things. And maybe that is the best way to win this test, but I'm not sure that's the philosophy that's carried this Australian lineup through the past little while.
That's a great point, mate. It'd be a big balls move to do it. He hasn't scored a test century on home soil since January 2023, but he's got the runs on the board, right? He's been there. He's done it all before. He's a calm influence. I think he's a great character too. I love listening to Aussie talk, man. I love listening to his interviews. He's honest, straight down the line. He's different than anything else offered in Australian cricket. The runs might not be there now, but on his day, we know the type of class that he can. Back on that Gabba deck as well. Sure, it'd be great. I mean, we saw the comments too from Head come out, and it basically sort of, you might have been the press comments, mate. I think it was yesterday or the day before, saying he's prepared for anything. Pat Cummins said that batting orders are overrated. Head basically said he'd put his hand up to open. But do you really think that they would try that again? That seems would be like a big shift, despite the innings he's just coming off. But that would be a big shift to try and move Head as an opener.
Well, I do have to agree with Pat Cummins because, as a bowler myself through all my junior days, batters are so precious about when they come in. It was ridiculous. I was the same, I was a genuine number 9, but if you put me up to number 8, I was useless. No, yeah, batters should just bat what they're told. No, they're too precious. But yeah, it was interesting. The really interesting comments I thought from Head were he went on the radio a few days afterwards, and he basically admitted that he's been asking to do this for a while in private, even though every press conference he's ever given, he's said the opposite. So it's clearly something he's thought about for a while. That was always the thing, is that, oh, well, maybe we do move Head up, but I don't think he wants to do it. Well, it's clear that he does want to do it. It's conditions based as well, is what they're going with. I mean, I think it's pretty easy to see a world where he opens the batting in the Gabba and nicks off in the first over, and we're sitting there in the same trouble again. But we're also, possibly sitting there and he's 150 at lunch. How do you look at it?
No, 100%, mate. I mean, I think, but the fact that Aussie and Weatherall didn't even actually open, like we just touched on, I feel like they still have to open, right? They got to be given a chance to do it together. I think it would be a very, very cruel call to, unless Usman Khawaja was injured, I think then Travis Head would totally make sense. But if Usman Khawaja is fit, Weatherall's there, I mean, that's what they wanted to go with in the first test. We need to at least see it, right? And they're up 1-0. It's not like they're under the backs against the wall. England blew a big chance to take a lead there. I don't see how you can mix with a winning formula, even though that wasn't the formula they won with. And I know you just touched on it, mate, but what were your best figures? I know you want to tell us, Jim. Give us your best figures. Come on. What's your career best?
Figures? I think it was in year
acts like he
9
doesn't
game or
know.
something. I don't know, 16 or 17. Never got more than that. My best day on a cricket field was, I don't know, someone had nailed them in too hard, and I broke a stump bowling. Took home the 2 pieces. They still sit somewhere in my childhood bedroom. Bowling 100 clicks in under 15s or whatever, but it felt good to go through the woodwork, shatter the woodwork.
There you go. I knew you'd have a story for us, mate. Look, I was reading before, Australia has had 6 different openers since Dave Warner retired. Obviously, mixing around now, we've seen Weatherall go in. I got to interview Michael Clarkey, the pup, the other day, which was quite nice. Got a one-on-one with him in Sydney. He was talking about, I asked him, has Australia sort of dropped the ball with their progression of openers? And he sort of agreed with me, because that was a sort of thing I was thinking. You've had David Warner, Usman Khawaja in there for so long, but do you think the progression's been stunted? They've mixed, I know Renshaw had to go, and the way that they've gone about it. Do you think there could have been a better progression from Cricket Australia?
I think It's hard to say because they've won so many matches since then, right? And the question is, if they had changed openers earlier, would we be winning more matches? And I'm not sure we would have. And we're 1-0 up in the Ashes, right? We could have absolutely been in a situation where we had more success and more stability in the team. But like, even though, Constance comes in and plays those couple of innings and falls away a little bit, we don't win that Boxing Day test without him. And it's hard to say with it because really what you're saying is, do you retire David Warner earlier? And if you force Warner into retirement early, that means you're probably picking Cam Bancroft, who looked really good at the time, but also hasn't scored a run at first class level for the past couple of years. He's really fallen out of form. Would that have happened if he was in the test team or not? There's obviously no way to know. I think they've maximised just trying to win each series over the face of trying to pick and stick with someone for 15, 20 tests. And I think that's left us where it has now, but it also got us to the World Test Championship final. And it got us to some really good results in a number of areas, especially Sri Lanka and some of those home tests. So I actually think, although it would look neater to have Constance and Bancroft both having played 20 tests by now and be well settled, or Renshaw and Kellaway, or whoever you want to pick, I think they've done what needed to be done to win the tests in front of them, rather than go developing. But it's something that a lot of people clearly believe.
Yeah, nice, mate. You smashed my theory. Good work, Jim. No, that was that was very good points. I like that. No, that's very well said, mate.
What's the
Look, to the
theory?
bowl. No, they stuffed it up. No, to the bowlers, mate. Josh Hazlewood. We got to talk to him. I was camped outside the SCG late last week. Rather, we were trying to catch a glimpse of Paddy Cummins. We're all expecting to be named on Friday. Josh Hazlewood gave a little bit of a short press conference where he said he would like to take part in the series eventually. Obviously, battling that hamstring strain, not going to take part in this test. It'll be interesting to see whether he can get up for Adelaide. We were expecting Pat Cummins, that was the media leading up last week, if we cast our minds back, to be named. But in the end, he's travelling with the squad, but hasn't been named in the 14-person team. So it seems unlikely. Do you sense anything fishy happening there, mate? Or are they generally just trying to play it safe so he's all right for Adelaide?
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of very reputable sources were saying a week ago that Pat Cummins will play and that Josh Hazlewood's out for the series. And where he stands right now, that doesn't seem to be the case. But Cummins bowled today over the course of this week, from the people who've been down there saying he looks good. He's going off basically a full run up and moving well. I think lose the first test. I think he's playing. I think the fact that they're 1-0 up, they're happy to relax a little bit, save him from Adelaide. I don't think Silly Buggers is this team's way. I think if he was a chance to play, he'd be in the squad. I just don't see Andrew McDonald sitting and going, here's what we'll do to be diabolical and sneaky. Like, that doesn't seem to be his. Maybe JL, definitely Brendan McCullum, but
Yes.
not Andrew McDonald.
No, fair point, mate. And in saying that too, I mean, Brendan Doggett, he looked right at home, right? Like, he ended up with 5 for the match. Like I touched on, Scotty Boland was quiet in the first innings, but then helped swing that game in his second innings. The bowling lineup unchanged, right? Like, you don't need to really change the way they fought back and bounced back in that second innings. Ingram got on top, I think, a little bit with the bat towards the end of their second stint, but obviously Travis Head did what he did. You like the bowling lineup the way it is now?
Yeah, it was great. My colleague Ted Rocco did a fantastic story. We went up to Toowoomba and spoke to some of Brendan Doggett's family. It's been a long road for him and a fascinating one. He was, I think, he was 5'9" when he was 17 or something and just playing park cricket, and then had one of the biggest growth spurts of all time. I'm sure yours is coming soon. And next thing you know,
Mum
he's
keeps
playing
telling
first
me.
class cricket. So that was fascinating to hear that story from the Dogger family and the people who work with him. We found some old performance reviews from his time as a chippy, telling him that he's spending too much time on cricket and it's leaving the work behind. But I think there's definitely an argument for Michael Neser, right? And I'm a big Michael Neser fan. Pink ball really lengthens the batting, but I think you pick Brendan Doggett, he takes 5 wickets. He actually, he hangs around with the bat for a couple of overs, which is helpful. Obviously, not to the extent someone like Nisa will. But I think you get him a hometown test. I don't think he's done anything wrong. I think you're playing, once again, if you're picking Nisa, you're playing musical chairs again, which looks good from the fantasy cricket perspective. But this team values consistency, and I wouldn't be upset to see Michael Nisa at all. But I think Brendan Doggett's done enough.
Is that what the sense is? Obviously, what you've been able to see training, or at least in the office, you've been able to talk about the lead up. It'd be a bit of a shock if we did, assuming there's no crazy last minute switch with Cummins. We're just going to see the same 11 rolled out here for the Gabba.
I mean, there's a lot that can happen in between, and I could be sitting here with egg on my face and five changes in the lineup. But if I'm putting with anything, I'm saying that more likely than not it'll be an unchanged or maybe one change if they don't play a spinner or if they sub someone in would be my prediction. You?
Yeah, mate. I don't know why that. Yeah. I don't think they would be changing anything, mate. I mean, like, you said reputable sources before. I know Fox Sports News, mate. We were out there Friday morning. We were all. I wrote a whole story that Pat Cummins was going to be returning. He was going to be back in this test team, and then I think I'd logged my story. It was being cut up as we spoke, and they released the team, and they put a little note down the bottom that says Pat Cummins will be traveling, but he's not actually in the 14-man squad. So I was like, shit, I don't think they ran that in the end. But that's just the way it went, man. And like you said, a lot of reputable sources were saying that we got a little grab of him outside the SCG when he was going in Friday morning, and he was pretty jovial. Like he was trying to pretend he was on the phone while we bounced him, but he was still like, yeah, I've got a bowl, but he was smiling. Pat Cummins doesn't give away much at the best of times, but it looked like he was going to be okay. So like you said, if they were 1-0 down, I think it would be a very different story. But the fact that they did end up coming back and winning that test, I think they've just been able to go with him. And why not just wrap him in cotton wool until we get to your land, made in Adelaide. On England, we haven't touched on England at all. Obviously, they've got their own injury concerns. Mark Wood, right? It looks like he's out with that knee. You've been able to follow them, mate. I know you're staking out a golf course, doing the heavy hitting stuff the other day. Tell us what you've seen of England up in Brisbane.
Yeah, it's fascinating. We got someone actually texted in a little video 3 or 4 days ago to us of Mark Wood hobbling around the hotel lobby, and we kind of sat on that. We weren't sure what that was, but it's clear that it's turned into something, right? A knee brace is something that he works through. I think England would have probably expected to play rest Mark Wood, whether or not he had this little niggle or not. But I think he bowled 11 overs, 12 overs or something for the test. It wasn't much because they were able to power through Australia so quickly. Interesting factoid about the first test, no person born in England took a wicket.
Is that right?
That is absolutely right. Yeah, Casts obviously South African, Stokesy New Zealand, and Atkinson and Wood, Archers Barbados or whatever. Atkinson and Wood went wicketless. So no Englishman took a wicket in the first Ashes test. If we can keep that going, we'll be in for a good summer.
We're going to clip that up right now for the Barmy Army and send it right their way. I'm sure they're going to froth that one, mate. Day Nighter, obviously, back at the Gabba. Australia's played 14 pink ball games for 13 wins. Gabba was always... I loved it when the Gabba used to be the first test of a series. I still think it should be, being a Brisbane boy. It was an absolute fortress there for decades. How are England going to do it, mate? Like, how are they going to bounce back when they really blew a golden chance to start this series off in the manner that they should have? They should have went on in that second innings. They should have won this test. What can you do about Travis Head? But they're going to be gutted coming into this match. Their record's totally against them. No Mark Wood. Australia's just done what they can. Can England win it in Brisbane?
I think absolutely. They've got especially the X factor players. And most people, I think a lot of people have said when England win, they'll win impressively and they'll win one of the great test matches, and it might happen this tour. Especially a pink ball test, you win the toss and you bowl under lights and you get a few things go your way. It kind of evens things out. We saw 2 years, the last time the Gabba hosted a pink test, Shamar Joseph ran through Australia in a game no one could have predicted. If the West Indies can beat Australia at the Gabba, I think England can.
That is a good point. I blocked that one out.
But it's interesting that the identities of the test matches. You spoke about how Brisbane's kind of, I guess, searching for a new one now that it's not the home anymore. I remember finding it interesting that, because if you look, Australia lost to India up here a few years ago, and then we lost to West Indies the year after that. It doesn't feel like a fortress to Gabba anymore, but interesting hearing someone like Stuart Broad's comments where he mentally thought it was a fortress. So the England players think it's a fortress, regardless of if the stats actually back that up. So it's an interesting choice that probably one I didn't think about at first, that to kind of lose that identity. And a lot of commentary this week about Adelaide's role in the day-night test. I mean, the Adelaideans I know and speak to, and maybe it's just my circle, are kind of sick of it.
Really?
The daylight test is a great spectacle, and it looks incredible on TV. But having it every year it was getting a bit much for a lot of the cricket fans in Adelaide I know, and especially a day of cricket finishes and it's 11 o'clock. You just got to go to bed. You're completely gone. Whereas if it's finishes at 6, 7 o'clock, you can go out for dinner and then go out to a pub or whatever. Where I think having the daytime test, I think a lot of Adelaideans that I know are happy about that. And but yeah, interesting to see it at the Gabba, and especially the way the weather plays into that with storms up here.
How drunk do you think the Barmy Army is going to be on Thursday morning? Well, sorry, I should say Thursday afternoon, because I'm going to be out there covering it for Fox Sports. I'm going to get in there Thursday morning. I'll be out there till Monday. And I think the Sky are sending a crew, getting lots of colour. They're going to start at about 7 or 8 a.m. What's going to happen?
Yeah, the pubs should be doing breakfast specials. That'll be anything near the ground. Full English breakfast and a couple of pints of Guinness for 7 a.m.
Do you just on the day night test thing? Do you reckon that then it should be a matter of just rotating it? Like obviously Adelaide had a lot for a while. Brisbane gets their
Yeah,
chance. You can't. I guess you
I
can't really
think,
rotate the Boxing Day, but well, do you think it should
yeah,
just be shared around like that?
you can't do it in Perth because then that would finish at 1 a.m. or whatever. I think Sydney would be an interesting candidate for day night test. I think especially with the Jane McGrath Day, pink ball test, pink day, like that makes a lot of marketing sense if nothing else. But obviously Sydney siders might disagree with touching their beloved test. We saw Hobart get
Oh,
one out as a surprise one in the last Ashes, and we'll see what happens with kind of other venues getting a shot, especially as they take on more kind of early spring series to play some of these other nations in the coming weeks. So, yeah, I think rotating it, whether it is, Adelaide, Brisbane, and Sydney in a three-way rotation, day night test cricket, I think is something that brings a lot of people to the game and has been a good financially for the game. I think a lot of purists like myself definitely prefer the red cake.
100%, mate. I mean, SCG, the problem with Sydney, me being here for the last few years, keep getting rained out. Like, there's always a day or two, and it's always that time of year. It's always cloudy, overcast. I've got my tickets to, I think, day 3 as a punter. I'll be covering it for work as well, so I'm looking forward to that. But that's not a bad shout. I feel like
Yeah,
SCG could definitely be in the
there's
mix.
no reason for Sydney to have a test match. We're beyond that.
Well, it is probably the most boring
Uh,
of the 5 traditional venues, right?
well, it's the only one that's got a chance of going to day 5 this series, because if we get a bit of rain,
Actually, that was what I was going to ask you, mate. So Gabba, day night test. What are we thinking? 3 days? Like, we can't do 2 days
yeah,
again, right? I mean,
I've got day 4 tickets. I might as well email CA now with my details for the refund. It's interesting, yeah, and these two teams aren't teams that have even Australian games have been so short over the past 3 or 4 years. There's been so many 3-day games, 4-day games in Australia over the past period, mainly just because the bowling has been fantastic from Bumrah and the Australian attack, and Rabado and South Africa are out here, and even Shamar Joseph and things like that. But also, obviously, the pitches are really difficult to bat on. I love a 5-day test, but it's clear that on a number of levels, that's not what a lot of people are aiming for at the moment. But gee, you feel for the people who've got those late day tickets. Yeah, I can't see this one being a massively long test, but we have seen big scores in daylight test cricket. I think David Warner made a double 101 last year. Travis Head got 150 in that pink ball test. So if you get in, it can be a really good time to bat that pink ball test. Pitches look green today. All pitches look green 3 days out. We'll see how much that sticks.
yeah, it's going to be very interesting, mate. I honestly think England's going to have a few scars after that Perth test. I mean, I'd love to see him bounce back and make it really competitive, but coming up with the Gabba, it doesn't matter who our bowling attack really is. And when you've got Starc in that type of form, man, if he comes out and does that again, I think the Australian batters, they've got to perform better than they did in that first innings. I don't think they're going to let it happen again. What is your tip for this test, mate?
That's a great question. I think, well, Australia will almost certainly bat first because England love their chasing. We make 200, England make 150, and we're all
Yeah,
home
yeah,
by
yeah.
stumps on day 2. No, I think I do think Australia will manage to go 2-0 up. I think Starc pink ball was just going to be too much for England to get past. I think it'll be a little less spectacular the manner. Let's go Australia by well, England will be batting first, so Australia blast. So Australia by 120.
Shave 120. All right, all right. I'm gonna tip Starc to go better than his career best. That's gonna be my tip. I'm going to say that he can back it up and he can go one better. We're obviously still not going to have Hazlewood, still not going to have Cummins. I mean, potentially Boland gets in there as well, but I think Starc can go on better. He's been in incredible form. I can't wait to see it. What is your plan over those 5 days, mate? Oh, 4 days, 5 days, 3 days. What are you going to be doing work-wise, mate? How are you going to be covering it?
Yeah, it's going to be great. Ted Roke will be leading our coverage. He's done such a great job down there this week. So we'll be helping him out. I'll probably be ducking around to all the other stories during the day and getting there and helping him write when we can. It will be a great energy around the whole town. Everyone was buzzing today. Just no matter where you go, I think for the rest of the week, everyone's just going to be talking Ashes. So it's going to be great. And then, try and get in as a punter on Thursday. Going to Great Cricketer live show on Wednesday night. That'll be good to see them. Always put on a great show. Yeah, it'll be great. My big tip, I shot my shot to the to my mates and family as my big pre-Ashes series is the summer of Cam. I've tipped 10 wickets and 200s over the course of the Ashes from Cam. We've only got 1 wicket down going into the second test, but summer of Cam was still on.
I'm sure you'll get there, mate. It's good to hear too that my hometown of Brisbane is buzzing because I was out there for the test last year against India. Got to do the build-up, got to go. Like, it was awesome atmosphere. I love the Gabba still has that sort of like homely feel. It's not a massive stadium like an MCG or now Optus Stadium. I got to go there for Origin. It's just such a big Death Star almost. But Gabba still has that little feel, that almost little, I guess, the most regional venue almost we have as far as like the Ashes venues goes. I don't know what Adelaide Oval's like. I'm sure that's a pretty cool experience as well. That's on the bucket list for me. But I do love watching Test cricket at the Gabba, and I love the way all of Brisbane gets behind it, mate. So I can't wait. Jim, thank you very much, mate. And series tip too. Before I let you go, I did want to get a bit of a series tip from here. You just said 2-0. So is this going to be a complete whitewash series, you reckon, or are England going to snag one?
I'm going 4-1 Australia, which is what I tipped pre-series. I remember, I texted a few people asking for my tips, and the tips from my one of my good mates and my dad and a few others were England 3-1, England 4-0. Like I was the only one who had any faith, so I'm sitting pretty on 1-0 so far. I'm sticking with Australia 4-1.
Lovely. Which one are you going to get?
Sydney. Something will go wrong in Sydney.
Come on, mate. Whitewash. Let's bring it on,
I don't
baby.
know why I'm anti-Sydney all of a sudden. Sydney's a great place.
Yeah, mate. Like, I'm a Queenslander, but you are shitting on my city right now. No, I gotta say, like, SCG is a beautiful cricket venue, all right? It always rains. So like, last few summers I've been here, it does rain, but an awesome cricket venue. Lovely to watch, and I would love to see a day-night test there, mate. I think that's a really good call. Mate, you love your cricket. I think that comes through in our potty today. I do miss having you as a housemate too, and sitting you watching with a beer on the couch over these beautiful warm summers. It's been a pleasure to have you on, mate, and enjoy the Gabba test.
Thank you. Yeah, I remember spending a lot of time watching not just the cricket, but Don Bradman Cricket 17 or whatever I was playing on the PlayStation. I remember one day we had a big one the night before, and I remember I decided to play a test match on Cricket 19 or whatever the video game was, and I was just sitting there not moving, just blocking and leaving for an hour. And someone walked in and was like, "Are you having fun?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm having so much fun. I'm gnawed off 30 balls. I'm really building an innings." So if we're talking cricket, that's the kind of cricket I get into. So Cops are 999, and you can call them from there.
Ladies and gentlemen, a real cricket nufty. I'm telling you right now, I've witnessed that too, and it was very sad. What a better way to come down, though. Jim, thank you very much for joining us on Season Ticket Holders. It's been a pleasure. Enjoy the Test cricket, and thank you, everyone. It's our first cricket episode, so I hope you enjoy it. Please give us a like and follow on social media. Take care. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.